these are the hardware features, but first of all, I would like to show you the terminal live working. This is a picture from the remote display. Of course, this is possible only on a special version that I have here running on a real SuperTrax with the Ethernet connection, or otherwise it is not possible. So if I punch in for a, you see this, you can see the name. I will read now the administrator card. I just read the administrator card, so this is the menu for the supervisor. I can understand that at this point you may have questions that could be interesting to be answered live. So if you have a question for the next things that I'm going to show you, I will try to answer live to these questions.
In the chat.
Okay, I think maybe you already have a question here. Sorry.
I can't see it.
No, okay. So let's go back to the administrator, just to give you here, manage employees is where you are allowed to enter employees. Here we have already a couple of employees entered, and for each employee you can enter the name, the badge code, the ID, and then not the PIN. PIN reset, what is the meaning? Let me go back to the main screen to show you the purpose of this terminal. That is to show the time card only to each employee. So you select the time card, and I'm asked to enter my PIN, so only it is possible to enter only for the real owner. Oops, sorry, wrong PIN. So what I did is to reset the code, so now I am allowed to enter a new code. Okay, finally we got what we had to show in it. So here you can see all the punches performed on the terminal. You have the clock in, clock out, and you have spatial notations. Oops. Let's go back here. So here you can see that we also have the totals, a letter for the reason code, and a star when the punch is performed manually. If we look at the supervisor functions, we can see that the supervisor is allowed to change and modify and enter the punches. So for instance, if you go on date 12, it is allowed to change the working time or enter a reason code for a missing punch. So here we have a missing punch, and I'm going to enter this. So here you can see that now we have this new entry at 12 with a star because this punch has been entered manually, and a P because it is the reason code for the permission. The system is allowed to compute the total working time according to a few simple rules. And now let's see what is the final result of this work. We can export here on the USB key, and I have already inserted a USB key on my PC. This one. So whenever you ask to export the punches, there are two files created. They are the same file created in two different type of file, a CSV file and a TXT file, but the records are exactly the same. And here we have the format returned by the system. So here you can see that you have all the days of the month, of the current month. You can export one file for each month, and you have details of all the punches with the reason code. The reason code is encoded in a single letter. And also, if there has been a manual modification, like this with the star, you have a track of which punches have been erased. So here we can see that there was an entry at 902. So of course this is a test, an exit, and yeah. So we have track of all the records that have been changed. Let's go back to the supervisor menu. The supervisor can enter any number of permission. So here you can see the description that appears on the buttons on the display and the letter which is used to export the transactions. It is possible to use the clock as to activate alarms. So you have the usual feature to activate the relay for a given time according to a timetable for the week. It is possible to create other supervisors, so more cards, and this is of course suggested to create more than one supervisor card because they are needed in order to enter the supervisor menu. And there are some configuration parameters which allows to state, for instance, if the in and out direction is on the left or on the right, if my card is allowed to be shown to each employee only, to the administrator only, or it is also possible to show every time the punch is performed. There are other parameters like 15 seconds. This is the time that the time card is shown. Months of memory, 3 months of data kept in the memory. And here are a few parameters, rounding time, minutes, 3 minutes on entry and 3 minutes to exit, to compute the total worked time for each day. These roundings and this tolerance, here are 5 minutes for instance, both on entry and on exit, are applied if the flexibility is on. If flexibility is off, the net time for each day is computed.
Enrico, sorry, there is a question if it is possible to enter data also through USB for more comfortable editing of names, etc. on the PC.
No, and at this time this feature is not allowed. Consider that this terminal has been thought for small companies with also very limited habit to use computers. So to replace existing paper time card punchers. So the idea is to give not the need to use a computer. Okay. The terminal is very simple. There are not many more features than this. You can, of course, set date and time. That is basic features of the clock. Upload to USB, and here you can select for each month. By default, it proposes the previous month, but you can change. We had the data only for July, so you can export data also for the current month, even if the month is not complete yet. So this is about the working of the terminal. That really, apart from this little incident about the pin, it is really very simple to manage. Let's go back to the features.
Enrico, there is another question. Is it possible to export to USB data for all within a given date range?
No, we have to select month by month. So the only way to export the data is to get these files, and you see the name. The file name is 2012-07. That means July. So you have one file for each month, and that file will contain data of all users. So there are not many operations to be performed. Even if you are interested to export data of a few months, it is just a matter of pressing a few times the choice of exporting data here. So you can very quickly select May, and you click, and it exports. Oops, I don't have a USB key now inserted. That is why it says. So you can see that I can repeat this operation. May, June. So it's extremely fast. April. Probably we don't have any data. So let's see what we have now on the key.
Meanwhile, there is another question.
You see, you have a couple of files for each month that we have exported, and I'm sure that in April we did not have any punch. So you see, we have the users because the employees are registered, but no records are present for any of them.